All right, we're rolling. Hey, this episode of the podcast, episode number 38, is brought to you by Beach Volleyball National Events. Beach Volleyball National Events is the biggest Get Noticed beach volleyball showcase in the United States of America, run by Duran Forbes, the program director. Beach Volleyball National Events, come play with us. It's also brought to you by Endless Summer Beach Volleyball. Stuck in California for AAUs, stuck in California for AVP first, for Junior Olympics, and your coaches didn't come with you, come train with us. We have the best coaches in the United States of America. Got Pompilio, Jose Loyola's coach, Jeff Samuels, Rob Keep It McLean, and yours truly, Jason DeBiss, along with Jaron Barreto. A family that plays together, stays together. It's also brought to you by my brand, NY Varsity Sports. That's right. I put videos on YouTube and people come to watch them. NY Varsity Sports, watching me, watching you. Episode 38 of the podcast. Let's see if I can do this right. Starts right now. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. I got the second part of that right. Listen, you guys have asked, you have demanded, and I deliver because I got to give the people what they want. Aric Anderson, what's up, Coach?
Hey, how you doing, Jason?
Doing pretty good. So, before we got to the podcast, we were talking about hats, like how often we wear hats. And you're in Texas right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Houston.
You spent a lot of time in California, which we're going to probably get into a little bit later. Did you find yourself wearing hats more, coaching volleyball, or is it because of indoor or whatever, outdoor?
When I was in California?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I always wore hats when I was in California, for the most part. Yeah. If you could find a rare picture of me, I probably had a hat on.
Yep. And man,
but you know where I did not wear a hat when I played beach ball, and I didn't wear glasses. It was always a distraction.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to get some court vision, right? Sense your peripherals where the balls are, and at the same time still scan the court. So you.
Yeah, right.
You're trying to do all that, right? You can't. No, you can't. So. Listen, everyone's like, oh, Jason, the guy with the Yankee hat. I love the Yankees, and if you see pictures of me in the past, you'll see me pictures in my Yankee hat. I went to plays. Now, I had a blazer and a Yankee hat, trying to look like Jay-Z. After my graduation party, I had a party blazer, white shirt, Yankee hat. But I've worn a hat more the 4.5 years I've been in California cumulatively than I have my entire life. I have a 5 head. I ain't got a 4 head. You know, people got a 4. They got the 4 head. No, I got a 5 head. So, so I got to keep it from burning. You know.
Yeah. So you got a lot of skin to cover there.
Yes, sir. We were also talking about on my last podcast, like. God, we could get into when we were young and stupid stories. I didn't go to an event, or almost didn't go to a gala event because they told me it was a black tie affair, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, I got it covered. I'm black and I got a tie, you know? So, and they're like, no, that's not what that black ties. We wear a tux. So, and I'm like, a tux. So, in addition to not knowing what a black tie affair was, if you grew up where I did and you didn't wear a lot of suits coming up Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, you don't know the difference between a tuxedo and a suit. You don't. It's like us being dumb men, right? Do we know? Half of us, more than 50% of us. I didn't do any stats on this, but you co-sign with me on this. I bet more than half of us don't know the difference between when our girls are wearing a bathing suit or wearing a bikini. Or underwear, or drawers.
Well,
right?
I don't know. They kind of all intermingle now. So
no, but this one on the beach, wearing like a thong, right? A thong bikini, right? But if she's in the house and wearing like whiteys, big whiteys, she's running into the other room, and I'm like,
yeah. I got to tell you though, when I was on the beach, I wasn't really contemplating on whether it was or anything else.
Oh my God! So let's start present to past. What have you been up to recently? You're with I understand you're with USA Volleyball, and I did a little digging. I understand you coached the high school as well as and the club. You're like, are you pulling triple duty right now?
Houston?
Yeah, are you pulling triple duty right now, Coach?
Pretty much. So out here in Houston, I started a boys program, Houston Stars. We're going into our third year now. We're doing pretty well. We had 21 boys last year and start off with 9 the previous year. And it's pretty good considering there's hardly any boys volleyball out here in Texas. We have 3 or 4 private schools that play volleyball.
Okay. Boys, right?
Tough.
Yeah, girls, you ain't got that problem, right?
Definitely not a problem with girls. So I do that. I do a quick 4-week stint with Lone Star College, the women's team there. And then over the summer, I have responsibilities with Gold Medals Squared, where I travel the country and go overseas to do some coaching camps.
Wow. Yeah. Where overseas? Where's the last place you've been overseas?
Last year, I want to say Korea, China. I think were the last 2 places I was at. But what have I done over there? Japan. I was supposed to go to Africa this year, but
what part of Africa?
What's that?
What part of Africa?
The car.
Cool, man. I have some friends there, man. I got
Oh, really?
Seydou Anjanko.
Oh yes, I haven't met him. I have him on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I was gonna try to stay a little longer and fly over to where he is and try to meet him.
Seydou,
who knows? I'll be over that way again.
Seydou is he's a little all right. As a person, he's a little bit of a man child. I ain't gonna lie, okay? He's one of those guys, if you don't get what he wants, he pouts and he sits down until he gets his way. That's off the court. On the court, he's not just this African guy that could jump. His skill set is really, really tight. And he played for Cal Baptist. You've been neck deep in NIA for a long time. So he played for Cal Baptist 3 years and played for Park his first year, and he won all 4 years. And his cousin Shamzu is like, so I want you to picture in your head Seydou like 3.5 inches taller and like skinnier. That's Shamzu.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, cool story about him on his Facebook profile. He had a video, right, of a jump serve, him jump serving, and then on the overpass out of D zone hit the overpass. He jump serve, and your momentum leads you like base one, or position 1, base 1, and then go through your progressions, base 2 or 3. But he's on his way to base 1 and the overpass. He just boomed it, and everyone just cranked their ass off. And I called Seydou on the phone. I said, Seydou, that's not you, was it? Come on. And he's like, no, it was Shamzu.
Well, that would be a dream come true.
But I mean, can he do it? Yeah, but he could not tell me a lie. It was his cousin, because they look, their approach, their swing, the way they block, everything is very whatever. So you see a video from a distance, and they both have a dark complexion. I mean, Aric, their blackness ain't gonna sneak up on you, right? I could look at you and be like, oh yeah, he could be Dominican. No, that is a motherland skin tone. Okay, so you see someone similar complexion, similar playing style. Like everyone on his wall thought it was him, and I'm like, I call bullshit. I call nonsense. So yeah, he's like the
Sander brothers. I think they're very similar to their style of play.
Yeah. Did the other Stanley also play opposite?
What's that?
You said the other Stanley play opposite? You said Stanley brothers?
No. The Sanders.
Oh, Sanders. Oh, yeah, Taylor. And his brother is still at BYU?
I think he graduated.
He graduated too.
Yeah. But yeah, they're very similar to their playing styles.
I love Taylor Sanders' ruthless aggression. I like the fire that guy plays with. I like the occasional stare down, and maybe he picks his shots because he thinks maybe that'll get some people out of the game. And against some of those European teams, that's kind of a mistake, like against the Russians. I mean, that's like giving Popeye spinach. You don't want to mess with them like that. Those are like white Dominicans. You ain't trying to.
Russians are just really tall.
Yeah, they love it. I mean,
there's a lot of European players that. I would say the knock on them is if you stay on top of them, they'll kind of give up eventually.
Because big waves crash.
Yeah.
Right? Because big waves crash.
Yeah.
And I had a little talk with Aric Anderson about that. He was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago about not being too emotionally high or emotionally low. And I know Hugh McCutcheon was big on that. And Spara, who is assistant, who is his assistant, I'm only assume that that maybe they just do psychological studies and say big waves crash. But in our playing and coaching lives, there are some exceptions to the rule. There are some people we've met, and so few though, we know them by name, that are high. They start high and they stay there. And I'm like, how? How? I'll give you a recency bias. Fallon Fanoy Moana. Eric's niece or cousin or what have you. She starts high, she stays high. She's in the tournament. She's in her fourth match. Yeah, let's go! The whole match from bell to bell, and I'm like, who is this person? She's my most viewed video, by the way, on NY Varsity.
Oh, is that right?
Just 21,000 views.
Whoa.
Yeah, for any volleyball player,
3.
indoor or outdoor, huh?
I said maybe I'll get 3.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for this podcast, I'll probably triple that on YouTube. I could get 9, so you ain't got sugar. I got 9 to your 3. What's up? Yeah, so my viewership on YouTube, because they kind of want you to pay to promote it, and eventually I will. I think by episode 50 I will, but I'm getting a ton of activity on iTunes and Spotify. And on my Facebook wall, I went from averaging 3.5 thousand to 9,000, and now my infectious disease person last week who was talking about vaccines for COVID and vetting it for the FDA and the process. She also lives in New York. And and all the protests, people throwing rocks at our house. It was crazy. So she got 12,000. So
wow.
So on my NY Varsity Sports handle on Facebook, I'm getting a lot of activity there.
Well, that's nice.
Very, very happy. So give me one player that you met, that you played with. It doesn't matter if people know them or not, because this ain't a validation game. It's a podcast. Who do you remember that started emotionally high and stayed there? Where you're like, that person is not human.
You mean beyond?
Wait a second, is it you?
Beyond me?
I was gonna say it's you.
I think that's probably maybe the biggest knock on me. People used to hate that.
Well, in a sixes game, you have to make sure everybody's on board with that too, right? I mean,
because
doubles you have to find.
Well, it's tough. It's tough for your teammates because you're playing with 5 other people and they're not that way. Mm-hmm. You could be rubbing them the same way as you're rubbing the other team.
It's true.
So
if there's anything I hate,
you had to make sure you were backing up whatever you were saying.
It's true. Yeah, and you gotta have 6 people that are on board, right? So for me, I hated when I jaw across the net at someone, right? And the very next play, my guy gets aced, and the other team is just like, oh, and I'm just like, y'all can't have my back. Y'all can't have my back.
Do you know Tom Pestalacci?
Yeah, I know of.
Okay, so we were playing together at Nationals, and he was the middle blocker. I was right side, and so I get pumped up.
Yeah. And
after one play, he taps me on the shoulder and goes, hey, "Let's save some of that energy. Let's put some of that energy into the game."
It's like, dude, we're gonna be here for a few days, man.
Well, I figure, national team guy, maybe I'll tone it down a little bit.
Okay, so you got a club or a club and or you said a high school in Texas for boys?
Yeah, boys club, yeah.
All right, cool. What else? What else? I know. Listen, you're like a Jamaican. I know you don't have just one job.
Don't have just one job. That's it. Anything that's volleyball oriented.
Cool, man.
That's what I'm doing.
Are you doing, and you're on the rules committee for USA Volleyball for juniors?
Oh, see, I have so many jobs, can't remember everything I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, a Jamaican.
third year on that one. Yeah, the USA Volleyball Rules Commission, which has been pretty fun because one of my biggest beefs were coaches not being able to talk to the officials. So that was one rule that was implemented into the new 2019-2020 book.
That rule was what? So we can be a little bit more explicit here. You said
let's break it down to the easy part. So you had a protest, and the coach could not say anything about the protest. The captain had to go up and protest your match, or whatever, or protest whatever the call was. So that rule has been modified to where now the coach can protest. R1 doesn't have to come down. Doesn't have to come down from the stand if they don't want to. But you at least have the authority to protest your match. And it should be the coach, because the coach should have the all the knowledge to protest. Your players are not going to get that information.
That definitely helps, like AAUs and like some of these club tournaments where, I mean, look, for the big ones, you're going to have two refs. And at the end of the day, right, as the tournament size gets smaller, you're going to have an up and down ref. But some of these people where the down ref is the work team, yeah, you should be able to talk to a head coach. I think that's a good rule, and I think it definitely benefits the biggest population of volleyball, which is the juniors, right? Mm-hmm. When you look at people who are playing NCAA or playing club or playing overseas, and I'm just talking about American kids, all right? The biggest sample size in our study, because we're the scientists, are the kids. Mm-hmm. So that I mean, who stands to win? The kids, one, the coaches, two, and more importantly, the top ref who's on the time clock. This match is supposed to start at this time, and sometimes you can have a 3-set match, right? It's 13 up, and he ain't trying to give up the goods, right? He's going to protest. So now you had a match that's already gone to 3 sets, right? Now it's already 13 up. Now you got these guys warming up, and now you got everyone surrounding the court because their games are done, so they're just watching, and then boom, protest. And then volleyball, which is supposed to be engaging to the fans and other coaches and your contemporaries watching, has become this. It's become this snooze fest. So if their purpose is to speed up the game and keep it exciting, don't make second and third hit not a double hit. Don't give someone 2 tosses, or like, what I'm saying, like a fault serve like tennis. I mean, some of these rules, and I might out some coaches while I'm doing this, but some of these rules, just because the coach is respected and says they love it, everybody else just gets on board. I freaking hate that, dude. We go back long enough. How about we go back long enough where receive and serve, first contact being a double is now legal. Al Skates, he said he loved it, and guess what happened? Sure. Okay, we do too. No, you don't, you dorks. First of all, the referees haven't been properly trained on the difference between what's a double hit and what's a carry. You got guys from Ramapo jumping in the air, both hands tossing this way. Sure, it's a double, but is it also a throw? That's a throw. If the rules say the ball cannot be held, carried, or thrown. Right. And then second, for a long time, they become a little bit relaxed with second hit. And like when you're putting third hit over, some of these guys put third hit over really hard. A lot of those are doubles, and under the rules, those are not actually protected by the first hit rule. Right. So I think it made for a while it made the game sloppier, and a lot of people didn't notice because at the highest level, you couldn't receive serve with your hands anyway. You just not accurately, and ball trajectory wise, the setter loses its court vision if you choose to just chuck it up with your hands. So even if the pass is in system, the ball has such a fast drop, because you're passing from up here instead of holding your platform and leaving it up there. So high level, I mean, they were the least affected. But we're not talking about that small number of people.
The rules coming up are is the double contact. So will that be eliminated?
Yeah. Ooh.
there was supposed to, before COVID hit, there was going to be some data taken from on the women's side.
Yeah.
To see if there were any advantages to the other or to the team that's doubling.
Right.
But on the surface, there isn't. So there's a lot of talk to eliminate the doubles call. Because like I said, there's a lot of officials who are inconsistent with that call.
So because they can't do their job, they want to change the rule.
Yeah, but if you look on what we're talking about protesting, there's coaches that don't know their job. They don't know the rules.
It changes the outcome of a lot of matches.
Oh,
I've seen some pretty interesting matches in New York where you got a volleyball player who's trying to coach, who's trying to teach his kids, the right way to do it, and he's going against a soccer coach who the volleyball job got dumped on their lap, and the other side's just doing a chuck fest, but they have the better athletes. Right. Mm-hmm. So if they don't have to play by the rules, they're gonna win because they're the better athletes. So and again, I sound like I'm nitpicking, but I'm not nitpicking because we cited as a pretext, at least in this section of our conversation, that this is the majority of the participants, right? So and that's something they need to take into consideration as well.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're talking about we're talking about young kids coming up. Mm-hmm. We definitely want to keep teaching the skill, and the skill will always be taught. Mm-hmm. But just trying to keep the flow of the game, I think, is the purpose of this. I mean, FIBA is looking at making this change. So it's there's a lot to look at. But going back to the younger kids, when the younger kids are playing, you want them to have as many touches as possible. So blowing that whistle every 5 seconds is not advantageous to them learning the game. So at some point, maybe the rules will help benefit the younger.
So the solution is have a nice long rally where they broke the rule 5 times. Oh, God help me.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned the serve, the let serve. Instead of that counting as a point that hits the ground, if it hits the net and goes over, then you get a second serve. So I don't know about that one, but there's a lot of new things that always come up every year. And I'm an old guy. You were probably like 5 years old when they let a front row player block a serve.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was '84 Olympics. '84 Olympics. I watched USA play I watched USA play Brazil in the gold medal match. My mentor Mario Tribic was the assistant coach on the women's team, the U.S. women's team, Mario Tribic, and he had a video and he's like, "You have to give this. It's a VHS." He says, "You have to give this back and you can't share with anybody." I'm like, "Don't share with anybody. Why not?" So it's just this video with no color commentary, just the plays and the audience and the sounds of the crowd. And the third play of the game, they served the ball and Craig Buck touch blocked the ball, and I'm just like, whistle? That was a replay or something? Did it hit the net, or did they say wait for the whistle and Craig just took a swipe at it? I was confused as F, man. Oh my goodness.
I think that was it was 82 or 83 when the rule first came out. But still, I remember I was actually my first years coaching at Inglewood High School, and Aric Sato was a senior at that time. So I remember they had some big kid that they just stuck up in the front row, and we'd serve a ball, and the guy would just be swiping them down, and Aric go back and jump serve everybody else off the court.
Yeah, man, because anything he jump serves, it's going to go off your block and out. What school? Remind me what school did Aric play for?
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw Gary's daughter play at Northridge. She's on the women's beach team. She looked good. She was in their pair 1, man. And talk about chips off the old block. I was with LMU. I was with John Mayer, and we had to play Northridge twice. So, you look at the last name, and you want to ask, but you kind of already know the answer, because you see a lot of these girls have their man features from their fathers or whatever, and this and that. She looked good, man. She looked good. I'm glad. It's crazy. Like genetics plays into that, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at the Yoders.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I think with Lucas being my favorite
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucas is one of these strange guys because he's introverted and he's playing volleyball and he's like, I think I'll play a little beach, right? He plays a little beach, plays like 3 tournaments, makes the main draw twice out of the 3 times he plays. And I'm like, dude, you got guys sweating it out in the qualifiers for 2 years and don't even sniff the main draw. And he just comes out of nowhere. And Baranek, he played with Baranek, qualified with him, and with somebody else, but he's a stud, dude. He was on the podcast. He was on the podcast, and
Wow.
dude, he moonlights too. He's an Uber driver. He moonlights at night.
Is that right?
Yeah, you can have Lucas Yoder driving you to the airport. But I think he does it just because I think he does it because it's interesting. Because listen, based on where he lives, and like his family upbringing and all that stuff, I don't think the guy's broke. I think the guy just does it for fun and maybe a little extra cash or whatever. So, but that's the kind of interesting guy he is. Like, I'm like, that's so cool. Let me tell you, he was the reason that USC actually got to finish 14-14 that year. It was a few years ago. They started like 1-7. And they went on this ridiculous run to break off even that earned them the right to get their head chopped off the first round against Long Beach State. Go to the guillotine. Be a patriot. Yeah, I love some Lucas Yoder. So these are interesting rules. All right, these are the rules I liked. In 2001, all 3 rules at the same time was double hit. Being illegal. And for the people listening, I want you to know something very, very important. This is for you old school people. Receiving serve overhead was never illegal. It was only illegal to double it, okay? If you look in a rule book, in fact, I can give you a book called Volleyball Rules and Pictures that shows someone doing this and saying, nice set. And they said it's not illegal like a lot of people think, but it was it was only illegal to double or carry it. So the rule was it's now legal to double it. So that's 2001. The other 2 rules were, and this is what I like, but both of them hold hands. Let's serve and rally.
Mm-hmm.
Let's serve and rally. Let's serve and rally. I'm glad both came together because they complement each other. Like if you're jump serving, but you don't want to miss because you'll lose a point because it's rally. Maybe you won't be as risque about it, right? But if it's rally and it hits the tape, you're kind of all right. So those 2, you want to talk about speeding up the game and making it exciting? I thought those 2 complemented each other, and I'm glad that if you got to do them both, you got to do neither. So that was one of the rules I liked.
Yeah, it definitely worked out. I mean, it was I want to say a 3 or 4 year process getting to where we're at today with rally scoring, because there was a lot of experimentation trying to get out of the side out error.
Yeah.
That took quite some.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what was your longest match, for Christ's sakes, playing side out?
Oh my gosh. When we go to nationals, we get out at 11 p.m., midnight. It just, like I said, you go 3 matches and they just went forever. Yeah. Yeah.
The Army European Championship. I was in the military. The Army European Championship started Thursday. Supposed to finish like Sunday morning. It finished Monday, 4:00 in the morning. So a lot of these, the Army European Championship, like you have some civilians, okay, you get the day off, good for you. But for the people that have to report for duty on Monday morning, 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, they didn't get to sleep. So you got to report for duty. And you got to go on the run, got to go PT, and then got to go train. So basically you're up all night and all day for the whole weekend, and then you got to report back you just got to survive that first day.
That's pretty tough.
Yeah, man.
When we played grass or sand ball, you'd hope you get done before it got dark, because there were no lights out anywhere.
Yeah. Well, making those 11-point games.
Playing in the dark.
Yeah. Making those 11-point games was a win too. You make 1-15 or 2-11. That was a win. They did that for the 2000 Olympics, right? 2-11. Pottstown Rumble, all the open games, were 1 game to 15. And I think, I'm not sure if I remember double A was 1 game to 15, then they went 2-11 again. If you ever played, because you're a big grass guy, I know you know what the Pottstown Rumble is, right? Big old tournament in Pennsylvania. It's a big grass tournament. It's the biggest grass tournament in Pennsylvania. It's like there's like the boat ride in Wisconsin.
I think it was second to the Motherlode, though.
Oh, Motherlode's big. Yeah. Well, if you think about the big 3, you got Motherlode. which gets overshadowed because there's also beach and grass, right?
Yeah.
Then you got the boat ride in Wisconsin, Oshkosh. There's another name for it, I forgot, but that was
I've heard of that one.
yeah, but that's why I met the Baumgrens. Actually, they were in that a lot. It's grass threes, beach doubles, and I think grass doubles. It's ridiculously good, and but the biggest feature is grass threes because you got a 2-blocker system, 1 back row defender, just play running. One of my boys, Zacharias, who set for Hunter and was on a Dominican national team for a little bit. You know, he had fun. Elnis Palomino, who's
Elvis.
Not Elvis, Elnis.
Oh.
There's
Oh,
Elvis
Trio
Rodriguez, who's our guy, who's the king of New York for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And then there's Elnis, who's on the Dominican national team, and he goes back and forth from North Carolina to New York, and he plays for Balmeso. If you know the club team Balmeso. You run by Ulysses. I actually set for them a couple of times, and that was a good team, man. We only lost like a set. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I was the only guy on the team that spoke English, but you never see a bunch of guys that are like big, and some of them are out of shape. They look like they're there for a barbecue, but when they get on the court, the skill set's tight, dude. You know, these guys.
You know who was like that? Venezuela and Dominican Republic.
Yep.
Those two teams that we used to play were like that.
That's Balmeso. The whole team's Dominican.
Yeah.
The whole team is Santo Domingo, Mocha. Some of them guys, you know, come back and forth on the national team. A lot of them, they're supposedly stationed out of North Carolina. That's a joke. No, go to New York, go uptown, go to Washington Heights. They all up in there. It's dancing to Elvi Crespo, because they don't say Elvis Crespo. Bunch of lazy motherfuckers, right? No, Elvi. Dominicans up in New York, and I gotta let you talk. But Dominicans in New York, if the word doesn't start with the letter S, the S ain't gonna be in it. So it's not como esta, it's como eta. Right? It's not me gusto bailar, me gusto bailar. So it's not Elvis Crespo, it's Elvi Crespo. That's why you can't understand the word you said, right? You study Spanish, you learn Spanish, you're trying to have a conversation, and you just in the middle of that, and you're just like, I give up. I give up. So my potential Jamaican friend, we're going to talk about another one of your other jobs. You did gold medal squared.
Yes.
Who was involved in that with you?
Who's involved with gold medal squared?
Yeah, with you for the indoor scene. I know Betsy Flint was. You know, she's an outdoor player because they.
Well, I mean, it's not me. Who
runs gold medal squared?
Involved with me. The organization was founded by Carl McGowan, who recently passed away. Man, there's probably over 200 coaches that are used throughout the summertime to go do summer camps. So it's pretty tough. So there's a lot of people that I work with throughout, every year.
Cool. Who's the most fun person you worked with?
Oh man, Brandon McLaughlin. That's probably the guy I go overseas with. So we've done that for like 5 years or so. But I mean, I would say that Gold Medal Squared does a great job of venting their coaches. It is pretty rare that you'll come across some personalities that don't get along. Right. I've only heard stories about it. I've never experienced it. It's pretty rare. They do a really good job.
That's cool.
Really good job.
Yeah. And we had a little conversation about vetting coaches. I remember that we had a conversation about the coach from God. Did we just skip that part since I can't remember his name? No, let's just say vetting coaches is important because there are certain people out there who are still getting work when they shouldn't be in that line of work. There's some people that should not be working with kids, Being a New York coach for any sport is big. You just get vetted. You got to go through the public school system, got to get certified for this and that. So I was the head coach of Hunter High School for 5 years. And Hunter High School had a clause that you didn't have to be a school teacher to coach sports in their school because they weren't mediated by the New York State Board of Education. They were mediated by CUNY, City University in New York. They were supposedly a prep school. Hunter High School was supposed to be a prep school for Hunter College. Come on, that's a lie. Okay. This is a school that leads the nation in two very important categories: cumulative SAT scores and Ivy League application acceptance. Number one in the country for a decade. I think they were second 1 year, but they've been first place every year for the last 13 years.
Wow.
So smart kid school, and they're not a prep school for Hunter because half them kids don't go to Hunter. They're not going to go to Hunter. They're going to go somewhere else, but I had to make sure my certifications and meeting the legal requirements, because it's a state law in New York to actually coach, and I'm so glad they do that. State sport is good, right? USA State sport is good. I like state sport because the coaches who don't do the wrong thing, who do the right thing, can appreciate how easy it is to be in the middle of doing everything right and still getting in trouble.
Right?
They're like, look, you could do this and that right, but if you know something, you don't say nothing. Guess what? You're vilified. You're just as wrong as that person that did that. So, and that's important. God, it's refreshing because it's if the safety of the kids, if we're supposed to practice what we preach.
Yeah, and I mean, it holds us coaches accountable for sure.
No,
hey, I think what we were talking about with Gold Medal Squared was recently Gold Medal Squared instituted a scholarship program for African American coaches, and some for minority coaches overall.
Right.
So
yeah,
that would be a good program. So if you're out there, go to goldmedalsquared.com and put your application in.
No doubt. Yeah, man. African American coaches too, man. We need more of them in our lives. Off camera, I was talking to you about one of my guys, Patrick Dietz. For those of you listening, Patrick Dietz is an East Coast guy. A lot of you may not know him on the West Coast, but because everybody stays in that little bubble. But anyone in the East Coast knows Patrick. Patrick has become this Division III upstart to this, playing with Creole to being this commentating savage. So I would love to see him and Kevin Barnett work together on the indoor scene. Kevin Barnett's like God indoor, and outdoor I can't stop teasing the dude. I can't stand the dude outdoor, but in indoor he is become the measuring stick in which other commentators have become compared. So
Patrick does a little real estate, doesn't he?
Yeah, Patrick does real estate. Just like everybody else, because not everybody can, unless you get three volleyball jobs, you gotta do something else. Like Fanoy, right? Eric Fanoy Mawana, he's Hermosa Beach. He's doing real estate. So the MC, the guy that does MC for the AVPs, he works at Verizon. So
you talking about Dane?
Not Dane. The MC, I forget his name. The guy that does. The DJ. Sorry, DJ Roche.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a volleyball DJ, which is a specialty, like just knowing music, when to put music in for the sport of volleyball for outdoor, and he's the measuring stick. I would like to say he's the measuring stick in which many are compared. But anyway, Patrick, right, played for City Tech. I was actually the head coach. One offensive player of the year for NECVA. There were Division 1, 2, and 3 being ranked together. There were people that played 8 more matches than him, and he had the same number of hitting attempts. He was a savage. At the time, his reach was 11.5, and I mean that's actually pretty good for Division 3 sports because you're not going to run into like-minded players like that until the Final Four.
That's pretty exceptional for D3.
Yeah. Well, the Final Four and all the divisional finals, you're going to run into D1 worthy athletes because these guys are going to play overseas. 1, 2. Most kids for men's volleyball, people listening at home, are not there for the scholarship. So, I mean, I go to a Maricosta game. Oh, my son got a full scholarship, and I'm like,
yeah, right.
You're right. Yeah. Again. If you're still listening, people at home, they only allow 4.5 scholarships per team. So you telling me on an 18-man roster, your son got a full ride, and your son's a boss like that? I don't believe you. I call baloney.
It is pretty rare.
So Patrick, from that point on, took over my duties. I was calling all the CUNY finals which is on TV, by the way. They have great coverage. They have more people at the CUNY finals than the MPSF, actually. So not bad. Not bad for a bunch of, whatever. And then Patrick found his niche commentating. And the three people he looks up to, because he is an African-American coach. He's at Mount St. Vincent right now. And coaches Cali volleyball on the East Coast. There's a club called Cali. It's the three people he looks up to is Dane Blanton, the head coach of recently a head coach at USC, but long time coming, long time assistant, and a pretty decent club coach and Olympic gold medalist. The other African American coach was it a player? It was you. Okay, you're no slouch, right? You're Volley Mat Coach of the Year in 2018, won another coaching award in 2019, and CCSA Coach of the Year in 2017. Ha, no study. And the third coach escapes me, but for some reason I can't get out of my head Dexter Rogers. Dexter Rogers, I didn't know his capacity on the coaching scene, but I remember him playing for the national team, and I remember him playing in 93, and I remember him playing in 94, and then when the 96 Olympics come, I was like, where is he? So Patrick was like, it's criminal that this guy's looking for volleyball work to coach a team, and he can't, sniff an interview, and I wish there was some kind of process. Or do you know of any process like a Rooney Rule, like the NFL has, that mandates that they should interview some African American candidates?
No, there was not a mandate. Like I said, that's what's good about Gold Medal Squared coming up with the program. There is an age limit on that, but I'm sure if there were a coach that was beyond the required age for the scholarship, that they would be more than willing to reach out and help, because that organization has the resources. And John Sparrow is the national team coach and UCLA coach. Mike Wall is the assistant coach on the national team. There are a ton of head coaches out there that can help push people into the right direction.
That's good.
Or help pull them to the right direction, I guess you could say too.
It's good to know, because Patrick and I were talking about meritocracy, and like volleyball out of all sports is like one of the places that has a pure meritocracy. And I had to correct him on that. I said meritocracy. If there's a stair running competition in a building, meritocracy is when you're already in the building. And if you run 45 flights, you run 45 flights. If you run 35 flights, you run 35 flights. If you're a savage and you're running all 70, good for you, okay? I'll see you on the way down. I'll call 911, and we'll all have some drinks in the emergency room. All right. So running the stairs is meritocracy. Getting in the building is not. All right?
That would be true.
It's for anyone who served in the military, I call it officers to officers and enlisted men to enlisted men. You have people, because they came up. I'll give you an example. Someone in California, right? Good player, gets with an exclusive club team, gets to play with them, right? And because they're an exclusive club team, they get looked at by colleges. And because they get looked at by colleges, they get recruited. And after they graduate, they coach club for maybe a couple of years. And because everybody knows them, they get an assistant coaching job for an NCAA program. And if the job falls in their lap, they're a head coach. So it's one of those. So it's something like someone like me who's been coaching for 21 years. You can't. Yeah, I mean, I don't even get the interview. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's like, oh, this is D3 and D2 or D1. And I would suggest to you, I'm not speaking for everybody, coaching D3 is more difficult because you don't get handed a team that's crewed up. All right? You have to do more with less. And in the CUNY system for a long time, and they're better now, they were great, and then they sucked, and then they were great again. In the CUNY system, at least 5 out of those 10 teams, or 6 out of those 10 teams on their 10 or 15 person roster are going to have 2 people that never even played the sport.
But isn't that what coaching's about? You're there to teach.
Well, you can also be a glorified babysitter too, and get credit for that.
Well, that's a different type of coach. I mean, it's anyone can coach talent. I mean, that's just easy. But there's that coach at that level that has to put that talent together,
right,
and put strategies together accordingly with that. So
yeah,
you can't just I don't know. I just said it, but you can't just say anybody can coach a talented team. Yeah, you can sit on the sidelines and let the kids go.
Oh, we know that's not true either. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to win a championship, you gotta know what you're doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
How about I out somebody right now? How about Jeff Nygaard? Guy's been the coach at USC for what, 6 years? He's had like two winning seasons. So maybe he's only had like 2 winning seasons. I don't count 14 and 14 a winning season. He had one season the second year. I thought that was pretty good. And then there was one year they actually made the NCAAs because they were undefeated at home. They were 11 at home, 15-9 record, but 11 at home won, which earned them the right to get their head chopped off by Division Lewis, a Division II program no less. Yeah, right. Olympian. No, but Olympian volleyball, a talented player. Gets handed a job that is a hotbed for recruiting. That is that represents the mecca of indoor and beach volleyball sports. And you're trying to tell me the best you could do is 14 and 14? Oh, you could do 15 and 9?
I don't know, not knowing the circumstances of that, because I actually had an opportunity to work with Jeff at a USA camp one year.
Yep.
And being able to listen to his philosophies and see how he coaches, I think he's one of the best ones out there.
He is. I sound like I'm crapping on him, but
recruits he gets, that's a whole different story at that point. So I think this past year is the first year that he had his recruits come in.
Good.
Yeah, I think last year was the first year, and they got off to a really slow start.
They did, but being undefeated at home, man, really helps, you know?
Yeah.
Jeff, if you're out there, it sounds like I'm crapping on you, but at the end of the day, I am attacking a volleyball coach with volleyball. So if anyone thinks, oh, you're coming after Jeff, or you're attacking, no, I'm attacking a volleyball player with volleyball. He knows as well as I do, either you get the job done or you do not, right? Yep. So, yeah, right? And should he not be called to the carpet? Coaching the most important franchise in decades, a hotbed for recruiting, you know, and like you just told me, good for him. He got the guys he wanted. He got the clientele he wanted, and slow start, because I guess that's sometimes, and that's not really his fault. Sometimes that's the kids you coach. They get so good so fast, right? Mm-hmm. They think they got it all figured out. No, I'm gonna do it my way, and then you suck doing it your way, and then finally, somewhere in the middle of the season, you do it his way, and then you start winning.
Funny how that works.
Yeah. So, but that comes with the job too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think Anna Collier had that problem? People trying to do stuff their way? Nope. Come on, for anyone who knows Anna Collier, she's the former head coach of the Trojans, the job that the women of Troy beach volleyball that Dane took over. One of the last of the red hot power women, like Lauren Bacall, like Greta Garbo, like Katharine Hepburn, the kind of woman that walks into a room and men know how to behave. They all of a sudden they stand up because she's there and she's leaving. No, you don't have to. You know, that woman doesn't exist anymore because they're not born anymore.
Yeah.
So that Chi DiMaggio, I'll throw out a name a lot of people don't know. Patricia, she lives in New Orleans, lives in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. She's the one that built City Tech from the ground up. They didn't have a club team. She's the one that basically sculpted Patrick's psyche, because Patrick, the muscles between his ears is where he lost all his battles, you know, which is, I guess, at that level, right? Those are the where everybody else is bossing and jumping and hitting and blocking each other, you know.
That's with the high level. You're separated right there upstairs.
No doubt.
I've seen Olympians go downhill just from losing it upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, oof. What was the college you coached? The NIA coach you coached in California?
Chapman.
Chapman.
I did. Chapman, and before that, I was at USC. I did the club team there.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm attached to USC in so many ways, dude. You know, Todd Hollenbeck. Hollenbeck. He was Jeff Nygaard's assistant for 2 years. He was also the head coach at Santa Cruz. He won Coach of the Year by AVCA in 2015. Todd Hollenbeck. I called him Sexy Jesus. He just like this big old beard. Just looks like this friendly, jolly guy, you know. And right now he's at Menlo. He's a head coach at Menlo. So
that must be a new job, right? Is that a new job?
Yeah.
Because I can't remember. I can't remember. I thought I played with someone from there.
Yeah.
Tell you how old I am, though.
Please.
With Dane Blanton, I used to play down at Laguna Beach, before the courts got all washed away. But he used to come. I played with his older brother, and he would come down as a 12, 13-year-old playing, and that's when you knew that kid was just going to be dynamite.
His older brother was good, right?
Pepperdine, yeah.
His older brother was good, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pepperdine, is that who he played for? He played indoor at Pepperdine? Dane? Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Pepperdine has a history of producing nice guys, too. Right? You look at Jeff Stork.
If
John Mayer? John Mayer? Sean Rooney?
Those are men that come out of that program. And
yeah.
They're good people that come out of that program. Unbelievable what he did and how he recruited it.
But the whole term "nice guys finish last," yeah, they do. They're the last teams left at the end. If that's what you mean. No, but look at the guys we just named. All right, first of all, there's Mark Dunphy, who we know is the ultimate nice guy, right? Jeff Stork, Bob Stavertly played together. I think they ran a 6'2" and then played together in '88 and then '92, right? Setter and outside. I emulated my game. I became a setter watching videos of Jeff Stork. I was an outside hitter in Germany, and then my coach was like, "You should set," and all I did was watch videos of him. So when I saw him, I got starstruck. I thought I saw Jay-Z. Jeff Stork! And he looks at me, just goes, like, okay, I gotta be nice because I got a fan.
He's Cole's kid, whatever.
So I'll go on. How about John Mayer? Won an NCAA championship with him, and he's actually the coach at LMU. Left-handed guy. He played recently with Trevor Crabb, played with Ryan Dougherty, played with Matt Prosser, won an AVP with Jeff Nygaard. Sean Rooney, right, national team. Coaches one of the Rockstar Club teams out here, and I run into him all the time. He's a good guy.
I think he's assisting still at Pepperdine now.
Yeah. And he's very good at remembering first names. I appreciate that when you say hi to everybody, and sometimes someone says hi and you don't remember, you just say hi until you do remember. No, he's just very, very good at remembering people. So, and I only knew him well enough because he was John Mayer's roommate. So in college. So,
Steve Friedman?
No.
He was I can't remember. I want to say early '90s. When they won the championship, he was the MVP for them that year. But he's out there, I want to say in Laguna Beach area, but same thing. Just good people. Just good people.
Nice. All right, speaking of good people, someone blew you up on my social network. What happened? We were talking about that before we came on. What happened?
Wait, what?
What happened? You said someone blew you up on my social network.
Well, a couple of the Penn State coaches, and we had done a holiday camp down in San Diego, and we're going to go out to lunch, and they go, let's go to Chipotle or Chiportle, or whatever they want to call it. and that was during the time where Chipotle had some bad news going about them, E. coli or something going on with their food. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to eat there. And they're like, oh, no, it's okay. So now we got this running joke about me not going to Chipotle, and they said I was kind of wrong about Chipotle and saying that they would be out of business, which I was wrong because they're still in business and they haven't killed anybody. So
that's okay. They all lived, right?
Yeah.
Still got to pay that medical bill, but go ahead.
Yeah, so they still go to Chipotle. And
that's fine.
That's our running joke.
Good. Oh, thank the Lord. Whew. I thought it was something else, man.
No. It's pretty innocent. I'm not too wild.
I am, but I mean, I love God. I love cute mistakes. Like I had this segment on my show called True or False. So a few years ago, true or false, one of the Crab brothers will win an AVP. And I said, false. I said, I don't think either one of them are going to win this year. I mean, they showed they could make the finals. You know, at the time they were playing together, right? And then a month later, Taylor plays with Jake and he wins New York.
Oh, yeah.
And he comes on my show. This is how cool Taylor Crabb is. Like, he's hard to get a hold of these days because, we all little people now. But when he took the interview, boarding the plane in New York, and they were boarding, and instead of boarding, he sat and took the interview and did the 20-minute interview with me, which is a testament to that kid's coolness. So you know, I know he likes to party, he likes to drink and this and that, but when it comes to his discipline, when his practices are, and you know, his media obligations, and when it's actually time to get on the court and play, he's a kid that keeps his promises, man. I got to give him his props. So this 20-minute interview, I don't think he knows that I said that on a couple of episodes, right? So I think someone told him, they said, this guy said you weren't going to win an AVP championship. So after the interview is over, he sends me a message because the segment's called True or False, Seeing the Future. So he's like, dude, you need to work on your future seeing skills, bro. He says, I just won one. I was just on the phone with you. And I said, dude, I'm sorry. It's just like the way I saw it, you know, with him and Trevor, they got to 4 finals and they were close. And then you got to win one before people crack the code, you know, because it's a copycat league. People are going to make adjustments, you know? So
you got to shift me. There you go.
There it is. So, and he's like, nah, I was just effing with you. You know, I just having a little fun with you. And that was a cool thing. So I'm a big fan of like innocent mistakes, you know?
Yeah, it's always good to prove somebody wrong though.
Yeah, it is. Oh, just ask Jason Olive, man. That dude, you ever prove that dude wrong, he's going to invade your wall until he's right.
Yeah,
Jason
he's pretty good with his
Olive.
predictions, though.
Jason Olive. I'd like to call him a brother from another mother, but I don't know him that well. But on this subconscious level, that's where we are. We argue, we fight like family. You know what I'm saying? We disagree, but at the end of the day, he knows as far as like whose side anybody's on. I'm always be on his side. But I'm not a yes. He know I ain't no yes man. I mean, I am an alpha, but I don't emote like that to remind people of that. No, I'm worse. I meant people back me into a corner and clean their clock, and then I'm wrong for it. So maybe Jason's doing something right and I'm doing something wrong. So
that man is he's got a passion for a lot of things, I think, which is probably why he's where he's at right now in his life. And I respect that the man goes out there, does his research, and is able to back up what he says, as opposed to how we hear a lot of opinions from people. Mm-hmm. So I'm a facts guy myself.
You're more of the conscience of social media than he is. Because you're at least you're fair. Jason's right a lot and he's well researched, but he's not always fair about it. You know, he's been like, all I do is spit out facts and whatever. And I'm like, well, that's actually not a fact. That's an opinion generated by historical facts that you put together. And my assertion to you is the facts you put together have to be logically connected, right? The sky is blue. I have a knapsack on my back, right? Those are both facts. But what the hell does one thing got to do with the other? So I mean, you can't state opinions and call them facts, you know, and that's always been my qualm in them. But with that being said, there are people who represent themselves by symbolism, and that's fine too. And there's certain people where symbolism is not enough, and activism is more than that. His activism off this social network and the recent and distant past is well documented. So there's some people who say it, and it's important to say it too, right? Because if you say it, you remind people. So I'm not trying to ill out on them people either, you know? I just say ill out. But symbolism is one thing, activism is another. So I really, really appreciate the fact that he's been out there, and I don't know if he's continuing to do it, but if he's retired from doing it, he's already done enough.
No, he's been busy this whole COVID shutdown.
Yeah.
He's got his daughter involved. His daughter even started a new baking company.
Yeah,
and
they get so big so fast,
making cookies and donating and donating the money that they get from that to firehouses and hospitals. So he is constantly on the move. I don't even know where he finds the time to do everything.
I just think he gave up sleep. Because I was like, dude, I was like that for a decade, and the only way you can do that is not sleep. All right, basically from 2002 all the way to 2012, I was coaching volleyball. I was working a 9 to 5 in a medical practice, a cardiology field. I was hosting karaoke 1 or 2 nights a week. I was a full-time student at Marymount Manhattan College studying theater. Wow. And when I wasn't studying, I was doing shows. And when I wasn't doing shows, summertime, I'm playing tournaments. And I used to pick grass tournaments that I knew would make me fast money that would pay for my summer school. Like if the Pottstown Rumble was happening, I'd go to Connecticut. And maybe Sherwood, if they're having a tournament, I clean up. It's $500, $400 first prize. I go there. I had sponsors. Tiva Sandals sponsored me for a little bit. So me and my boy Eugene, the guy they call him Flaco. He played for he's a middle and oppo for Bameso. We would go to these tournaments and we'd be like, okay, this guy's gonna be there, good. All right, that's who we got to beat in the finals. Are we gonna win? That guy's gonna be there. All right, boom. Pottstown Rumble, boom. We cleaning up. You know what? Take me to the mother load. Bye. Give me my 400 here. So
there used to be some decent money. In grass and sand.
Yeah. Pretty good stuff.
Well, back in the early 90s towards the mid 90s, there was some good money.
What was the highest you finished from Motherload? For me, Pottstown 5th is the best I could do. I played double.
Not even close to that.
Yeah.
My biggest finish in a big tournament like that was when Irvine University ran a grass tournament. And I took first and a second there.
Nice.
But those other tournaments they're pretty tough.
They're grueling because it's about dragging people into deep waters. You play the side out game, and occasionally you'll break out a competitive serve because yeah. In fact,
you have to rely on your partner. Your partner's got to not break down just like you can't break down.
Well, from the reason my grass success came out from siding out, like operating out of like 70 or 80%, and like the jump serves I operated out of 100% because I knew those are the ways you were going to get your fast points. But siding out, it's a big court. You know what I'm saying? Grass court set up net. It's probably 7-11 and 5/8 on the sides. Never mind the middle, right? So yeah, those balls 1-on-1 and a good set. Come on, man, you could side out all day. So
there was no stopping.
Mark Burek was like
I said I'm old, so I can't even imagine what my career would have been like playing on the smaller courts that we have.
Right.
That just would have been incredible.
I think, and it offsets each other because, it's more difficult because the ball we played back then was drop friendly. The Spalding, like the top flight, the black and whites. Even if you miss, you can't miss. That ball's not going to go out. You're just worried about not serving in the net. The Wilson is friendly if you keep your promises on elbow back, elbow forward. The Mikasa, the FIV ball, you gotta
put your hand into it.
If you miss that, it's gone. Every time I jump serve a ball out, it's in the air so long. I'm like, that thing deserves a stewardess and an in-flight movie. It's gone. That's a flight. That's not a serve.
Yeah, and people don't understand that. The balls made a difference. I mean, you had to know how to manipulate every single ball. So if you endorse Tasha Kara was a ball you had to learn how to maneuver.
It's true.
That was a nice little
soft touch ball.
Ball. Yeah.
Very setter friendly though.
Yes.
Very setter friendly. Middles are using their hands. Come on, you want to really talk about that back in the day stuff? Every time a middle put his hands up, the ref was like, he's just waiting for you to do it. I had a middle.
That was me whenever I put my hands up. It was automatic.
And you're a brother too. So you're a brother and you put your hands up. Damn. Ooh, I'm getting all racist on you right now.
No, that was only if I was on the beach.
Okay. Oh!
Wait, did I say that?
Yes, you did. Yeah, okay. Who gonna vilify you for that? Come on. You know what? Anyone that calls you out from that, you just say the same thing all over again, and you show them examples because they know your opinion based on historical facts. No, but
Yeah.
I've had games where I had a friend of mine that played. He was moonlighting beach in the summer, and he was a middle. And sometimes offhands, like in this system these days, like the libero takes the offset, but back then it was the oppo. So sometimes, so
Yeah.
what we would do, he would just set. He out of the middle would just set, and as soon as he put up his hands, I've had a ref actually blow the whistle, right? And we all stop and we all look at him, and we knew the ref effed up. And then the ref has to just call a replay, just admit he's wrong, which is rare, but we've seen that happen
Yeah.
from time to time. Or he'll just make up a call.
Right.
And you can argue, which my team's too mature. We just don't.
Yeah.
We will let him know he messed up. We'll just go, but because we know arguing is not going to make a ref say you're right. I changed my mind. Not on the certainly not on the double hit or a carry. Okay, it is what it is. And in the history of our association with the sport as players and coaches, we've never seen a ref change their mind about a double or carry ever. Unless they effed up on a double and you're like it's first contact and they got to reverse the call. Okay,
and typically you'll see them go. They'll go, my bad, because they know they made a mistake. They won't change the call.
Yeah.
But they'll let you know that they messed up.
Good. Yeah.
Like that helps out. I mean.
It does. And then as the longer you play and the more the less grief you give the refs, the more candid they are, at least after the match too. Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
The end of that match, my bad. Because candidness has to work both ways, right? Do coaches make mistakes that cost points? Yes, all the time. I felt like I just hung Jeff Nygaard out to dry when I didn't really mean to. I'm just sometimes look, you just got to call it what it is, right? You got to call it what it is. I mean, if I'm coaching City College and we're not good enough to win, it's okay to say I'm not good enough to win, but not him. No, he ain't exempt. He ain't exempt.
Yeah, no one's exempt.
Yeah. So the more you realize mistakes happen all the time. Coaches make mistakes. Players, double hit. They hit the net on the follow through. Is due to human errors. What makes us think the referees are any different? I mean, I just don't want the arrogance. I don't want their ability to not say, hey, you know what, I missed that call. My bad. I'm on it. This and that. This way there's a relationship. And I'm talking about club. I'm talking about NCAA. I'm talking about high school. I'm talking about even the professional scene where the referee, the relationship between the coaches and players and refs is profound. It's just, it's like, God, that guy's been reffing my club games, and here he is. So,
and that's that goes back to what we were talking about earlier about coaches being able to talk to the officials now, because an official, I believe that a lot of officials were arrogant. And when you have a 14, 16-year-old kid coming up to you, I mean, I've seen it multiple times where they just brush the kid off. Hey, I'm the ref. You're the player. I make the decision. Go away. So,
which isn't fair.
That kind of crap's got to stop.
Yeah. Kids like, I'm supposed to talk to you.
Yeah.
Is this the backwards seat? Did I do it wrong?
For me, it was almost, this is extreme, but almost borderline abuse to that kid.
Yep.
So, I mean, they weren't verbally abusing the kid or anything, but
yeah,
you're discounting whatever they have to say. And if they don't say it right, you can't get what you want anyway. So that had to be stopped.
Randy Stokely just said, side out, baby.
I was really bad because you can't talk to the ref, but I'd send my player up. They come back to me, send them back up. You go back and forth. You do that for 5 minutes.
Look, sometimes you need your kids to translate. Sometimes the coach gets so angry. You need your kids. That you're like, how about you go up there and tell that ref to get off his fat ass and make some calls? But your kid, who's the captain, is like, listen, the guy hit the net twice, and my coach just wants you to watch that a little more. So sometimes you need the interpreter that speaks coach to English. Randy Stokely, by the way, just messaged us, said, just side out, baby.
There you go.
Cool dude, man.
Yes.
I like him a lot. He's one of the color commentators for P1440, who I was working for as well. I did all of Pepperdine's home games for
really?
Beach. I did almost all of their games. I missed one, and I did all of their invitationals. And the Big West Championship when Hawaii played Cal Poly, I call that. The 5 commentators were Mike Dodd, Rob Sparrow, of course, Travis Meerweather, who writes for Volley Mag, and he breathed life into that magazine and art and internet periodical. Tim Hov, turning back the clock. The man watches his mouth. He's good when he watches his mouth. and of course me. So they called us the Fab Five. We commentators for each court. Casey came in as a guest because Casey Jennings is P1440 really. And there've been a mixed match of people coming in and out, but the fabulous five have been us. As far as who the best one was, if I didn't have to pick Rob Maspero, I'm always gonna pick me. I think the biggest star is Dodd. He's the one that's got the star power. He's the one that's a silver medalist. He's the one that was, for a long time, that was all about them kids and this and that. And people do hang on his words. But as far as like keeping people engaged, just natural gift of gab, I'm gonna toot my own horn. I gotta say me. I got people tapping me on the shoulder. Hey, my daughter's listening to you in Wisconsin and wants to let you know you're hilarious. So the feedback, I don't really know what the feedback was from P1440. They just want me to be louder. They just want me to be make sure my bios are in order, which which I was doing on my own, and then eventually they started supplying me with. But yeah, man, it's great. It's great to entertain people and still know what you're talking about. And more importantly, it's good to know when I got a call wrong. You know, I'm like, oh my God, that referee's blind. Oh, okay. I'm the one who's blind. You know, I'm blind. Listen,
that's what I like about you. I mean, you call it the way you see it, but you have a wide range of knowledge.
Yep. I also acknowledge I acknowledge my ignorance. Look, if you don't acknowledge your ignorance, you become stupid. Did we have a conversation about ignorance and stupidity? Ignorance is you don't know any better. You educate yourself. Okay, you got it. Boom. Stupidity is when you've been advised of the facts and you're just willful. You're protecting your ignorance, deriving from your arrogance. Okay.
Yes.
So that's when the ignorance becomes stupid. I think we'll talk a little bit about Casey Jennings and Jason Olive or just sports and apologizing and that in a little bit. But I wanted to share this one story. When I first moved to California, I was doing interviews for Volleyball 1-on-1. You know Andor July, right?
Oh, no, I don't know. No.
Andor July does volleyball clinics across the country and around the world. He played South African dude. He actually played with Spara for UCLA. He was a middle or an Anapo.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, I was doing interviews for him. He has a something called Volleyball 1-on-1 that offers private lessons. So I'm supposed to talk to players, the best players, and talk about process and preparation. So I see someone in the crowd that looks like Mike Dodd. He looks tall, out of shape, curly hair, and I start talking to him, and I'm like, what do you think of this, Mike, or whatever, and this and that. Turns out the guy's name was Mike, right? And to make matters worse, the real Mike Dodd is actually behind him, just going,
oh, are you serious?
And I watch this video all the time, and it blew up. It blew up because everybody was like, this asshole doesn't know the fake Mike Dodd from the real Mike Dodd. So, and he said, dude, another guy's like, dude, he says, yeah, I can't believe it. And the worst part is all you had to do was look around the guy. The real Mike Dodd is behind you, sitting behind you, watching the match back and forth, just going, this guy's an idiot. So it's one of those things where like, me paying my dues and getting to where I gotta go, that's the video you want to delete, right? You don't really want to. No, but I don't. I keep it up there. And that was the Crabs against Ivandro and Pedro. That was the match I was watching, and I got into it with some old head. You don't know anything about volleyball, and I'm like, shut up. Why don't you go fall out of your chair, you old fucking fart. So my ability to acknowledge my ignorance, but also my ability to stand up for myself. Was what got me, gained me a ton of respect out here, you know, and that's what got me to where I am. So let's get into an example of ignorance versus stupidity. Drew Brees, right? We're gonna go out of our wheelhouse a little bit, okay? Drew Brees a few years ago was like, I can't respect anybody that can't respect the flag, you know. And a year later said the same thing. So he kind of meant what he said and then eventually apologized. Now here's my stance, and I don't want to talk more than you because you're my guest. And it's not really an interview; it's a podcast. But I just want to go first on this. I accept his apology because his mindset came from having brothers fathers, basically every male member of his family, serve in the military. And if you've ever seen the people holding up a flag at Iwo Jima, bullets whizzing by them, they're not firing back. They're holding up a flag. If you ever saw a movie called Sam Jackson movie, Rules of Engagement, where he goes to the ambassador's, the embassy to rescue the ambassador, puts him in a helicopter, says, hold on. Him and two soldiers go back. Sniper fire whizzing by the head. They go back. They go back to take down the flag. And bring the flag to the helicopter. You have to appreciate what that means to them. But once he realized that systemic racism shows that you're America and what you think the flag's supposed to mean and what that person thinks the flag's supposed to mean are two different things. Holy shit, dude. I had my head in the water the whole time. I'm sorry. I'm not just sorry. I am so sorry. Now, people don't believe him.
He was sorry 3 times.
Now, people don't believe him because they're under the impression that he did know better or he should have known better. I think it's the latter. Maybe he should have known better. For me, when Kaepernick took a knee, I wasn't against it or for it. I just didn't see the logical connection because my level of thinking, I'm a Gulf War vet. My dad's a Vietnam vet. My grandfather's a World War II vet. Mother's side, a Korean War vet. Every male member of my family served. My sister served 2 tours in Afghanistan. We understand the flag as being a military guidon from the Civil War, which is fighting for equality against the oppression of black people. So to me, because the flag meant something different, I'm like, okay, kneel away. I don't see what one thing has to do with the other, but because of what I fought for, I know this is not a totalitarian state. If someone wants to kneel, fine. Someone wants to sit, fine. Someone want to go in the other room, fine. Because I fought for the right for them. Or my family has fought for the right for them to do that or to not do that. I have my lines too. I think if you burn a flag, I mean, you could, it's your right, but you ain't my friend. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just different. That's just different to me. You know,
it's different and it's against the law, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. It's also against the law to wear one as a bra, a bikini top too, right?
Bring that up.
The same guys who have a problem with someone peacefully kneeling at the same, doesn't have a problem with a girl wearing it up the crack of her ass.
Exactly. Or the professional baseball player wearing American flag Speedos.
Exactly. So the floor is yours, but I wanted to give you my stance first. He is apologetic because he didn't understand. He's surrounded on a team that's predominantly black in a league that's predominantly black in a nation whose spectatorship as far as per capita is a majority black. So he's getting an education on it. He got some explaining to do to his brothers, and that's where I am. The floor is yours.
Yeah, it's pretty tough because I don't know Drew Brees from Adam.
Right.
I can only speculate. And just knowing the history of what he did in the city of New Orleans after Katrina, what he gave back, and then when they were at the football game in London, he knelt with his teammates. They came on the field, I think, before the national anthem, but he supported them at that time. When he made those recent comments last week or a couple weeks ago, whenever that was. I read his words, and I just felt the compassion that he had with it, like you said, with his family, being involved with that, and it's his American right to feel that way, that he'll stand. But on the opposite side of that, I understand why he didn't understand what was going on. Mm-hmm. Just like the other half of America that doesn't understand and is trying to do some catch up now to what's going on in the country. And my feelings were, hey, this guy works with a bunch of people who can educate him if need be, and if he wants to listen. And I think that's exactly what happened, because I think deeply his teammates were hurt when they heard about that, because I think my impression is that he's a pretty good guy. So that hurt his teammates. And I think once his teammates reached out to him and they had that back and forth about what it meant and how we got to where we're at today, I think it truly touched him. So I think I think he gets why. He may still feel that, hey, I still believe in standing up and putting my hand over my heart. Same thing with me.
And they have to doesn't that respect work both ways? Doesn't that respect work both ways though? Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. You said when I had the opportunity to travel with the national team and standing up on the floor with my hand over my heart, that means something. That means something to me. But not having a knee on my neck, that means something to me as well. And I know those.
Yeah.
So we won't even go into all that stuff.
No,
but
I went through it the last 3 podcasts. Yeah, I don't know if you've listened to my stories of my family and police brutality. 4 different cases just in my family alone. My mom's a black woman. My uncle's black. My one uncle shot by the police black. My grandmother arrested for planting vegetable gardens in the ghetto. You're gonna arrest an 80-year-old woman, you dick. Sorry, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
No, So we all have our reasons for why we do, but it is our American right, our constitutional right, and people will lose their flipping minds trying to make you conform to their way. If you're not doing it their way, then you're wrong. But it goes back to those clothes. Yeah. They'll be the first ones wearing a USA flag.
So it's a double stupidity because they're trying to make you parrot their free speech, right? Because you're kneeling is free speech, their standing is free speech. So if someone to make you do it, I feel you should do it their way is suggesting that they should parrot your free speech. That's one. And 2, the hypocrisy. Legally you could wear it on your shoulder if you're in the military because you got to represent you're an American or whatever and this and that. I will show you how I'm not a nationalist before I show everybody this. I am a patriot. So I want people to notice before they see what I'm about to show them on my camera. This right here, that is an American flag, my man. This is my command center. Those are my monitors for the preview monitors. That's for my video games. All of this is for when the Olympics come so I can watch 5 matches at one time. But right there on my wall, anyone that dares to question my patriotism, besides my military service and what I look at every day, that is Old Glory. That is the United States of America, okay? And anyone that feels that they should parrot, that someone should parrot my free speech just because of what I did and what I believe in, they're not the ones disrespecting the flag. You are. They are. The person that thinks that you're supposed to parrot their free speech has no respect for the flag. Because if the flag has this meaning to them, this meaning of what I think where we're both getting to, if it has this deep innate meaning that you fought for the rights for people to choose your religion, to choose who you can love, to choose how you can live your life, choose to peacefully take a knee, which by the way was advice that he got from a veteran of the United States Army. So I don't know if the guy was a Navy SEALs, but he was definitely a member of the Spec Ops community. And it was like, dude, don't sit. Sitting's disrespectful. Okay, take a knee. Take a knee. That's respectful. And most veterans that understand it. I'm a vet. I don't speak for vets everywhere. I get it. I got into an argument with somebody. He's like, look, if standing for the flag is respect, then isn't not standing supposed to, by rule, supposed to be an opposite? I said, well, yes, if you live your life by false dichotomies, right? For those of you guys never been in debate class, false dichotomy is when you take an argument and you limit it only to 2 choices. How about kneeling is not respecting or disrespecting the flag? How about it's neither? Right? How about, right? Oh, you're either with us or against us. How about I'm not with either one of you, you ass hats. How about I choose? How about there's an option C, neither the above, or option D, both are correct. Have you ever been in a situation where you're on camera and the cameraman is panning through during the national anthem, and there's a couple of them typically. One's got the cord. Right. The other one's got the camera. They're on a knee. Yeah. But they're not standing. Their hands out over their heart. Oh, there's your camera exception. The whole thing. Are they disrespecting the flag? I mean, it's all crazy. It's all crazy. And the flag is this is extreme thought, but it's a piece of cloth. It is a symbol of America. Yep. What we fight for is our Constitution. Yep.
and our constitutional rights.
Yeah.
That's what's important. And I think that's what's getting lost in our society, just overall.
I hope one day we can all be proud of where we are. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I hope we can all be proud of where we are and when we stand. That day is a long time from now and may never come. But in my fantasy world, I would love for us to come together. I would love for my white counterparts and my black counterparts to understand each other and just continue to have these conversations, not at the expense of somebody's life. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In this my perfect scenario world, I would love for everybody to be like, hey, boom, this is when patriotism turns into nationalism, because that man taking a knee is patriotism. You know why? Because the biggest form of patriotism is dissension. All right? Anyone that thinks you should just stand for the flag just on principle, you're not a patriot. You're a nationalist. A nationalist means you do it for its own sake, regardless, okay? And sometimes I'm a nationalist. Every one of us is a little bit nationalist. Everyone's a little bit patriot, right? I'm a nationalist because when Donald 45's in office, I don't not love America because I don't love America because he's in office. I love America in spite of him being in office.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain people you vote for and there's certain people you don't. I'm gonna vote for a Democrat or a Republican. I just want to vote for the right person. And this is why
Exactly.
I'm so glad I'm talking to you about this, because there's nobody has been more fair as you as they've been candid about your sentiments in these. So, but I wanted your opinion about Drew Brees on that, because what we're talking about is something deeper than that, just a celebrity apologizing. We're talking about people speaking from what's in their heart, which derives from a feeling of malice and separation and bitterness. And then it derives from what is not in their head, what's missing in their head. And Drew Brees was the latter. It's not what came from his heart. His love for his country came from his heart, but not understanding was what was missing in his head. He wasn't diametrically opposed to black people.
What I thought came from his heart was his apology.
Yep.
All three of them.
Yep.
I mean, he felt so, I don't want to say so bad about it, but I think, well, maybe that's it. He felt so bad about what he said or how it was portrayed that it hurt him deeply, that he felt he needed to apologize 3 times, 3 different ways. So
I closed up
shop.
Respect
that. And if his teammates respected that,
Yep.
who are we to say anything different?
That's the question. Rhetorical question, actually. Listen, I closed up shop in an argument like this. I said, saying that just because that guy is taking a knee means he doesn't love his country, to say that is equivalent to saying just because somebody skips out on church because the priest is a molester means you don't love God. You know, these people are making this illogical connection, you know?
Was that one of those?
Yes. Well, I'm still waiting for that response. I don't think, everybody. I'd love for someone to say that those are not comparable, but I would say they're closely comparable. I think just because you could love God and you can show it a different way, or you could have a problem with the church and still love God, right? You could have a problem with standing for the flag and still love your country. That's the point I was trying to make. You don't hate the country. He just has a problem with people putting their knee on someone's neck until the guy says, I can't breathe, until he dies. Until he dies.
2.5 minutes after there's no response.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I know at some point we got to go, but I wanted to introduce you to another topic, which is a common denominator. People apologize. Their apology is authentic. People on the other side need to have the power of empathy, which leads to some level of forgiveness. Okay, all the people that are mad at Drew for having his head in the sand, cool, be mad, but be mad at him because they don't think his apology is authentic, or that he should have known the whole time. It's been there the whole time. A lot of you are fucking hypocrites, okay? And I'll give you a funny example because we're getting ready to laugh again. Friday night, growing up, the way I kept my ass in the house, I turn on channel 2, I watch The Incredible Hulk, 8 o'clock. I watched The Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, right? Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk. Dukes of Hazzard at 9, and Dallas. At 10.
Dallas.
For those of you at home, you too young to ask who shot JR, just educate yourself. We already an hour and a half into this. I ain't going to do it. Okay? Find out. All right? It wasn't Sue Ellen. All right? Everyone thought it was Sue Ellen. My question was, did white people watch the Dukes of Hazzard? The answer is yes. Did African American watch and love the Dukes of Hazzard? The answer is yes. And some people are like, no, I don't think people watch it. And yes, you did. Don't lie. Yes, you did.
Yep.
And you know what? Guess what? African Americans, half of me, I'm half. So half of me, you African Americans out there who are talking about what's in your face the whole time and, oh, this guy ignored what's in his face the whole time. You ignore it too. These guys, these good old boys, just the good old boys, never meaning no harm. Beats all
with their
you
Confederate flag car.
With a car that has a Confederate flag on it called the General Lee. And when you honk the horn, what did the horn sound like? Go on. You know what? You laugh, I'll do it for you. White people, you watch that show. Black people, you watch that show. Stop lying to your little devil asses. You watch that show too. And you saw that flag and you ignored it. You heard that horn honk and you ignored it. You know the name on that car and you ignored it. Why? Because it was so ingrained in our culture. We were too close to the forest to see the trees. So don't vilify this man for what he's missing for the shit that you guys have been watching and appreciating and celebrating the whole time. Let me tell you something. That guy that made that song called "Look at That Girl with a Daisy Dukes on." No, black people didn't think that came from Daisy Dukes was a set of rabbit ears. No, the Daisy Dukes came from a girl named Daisy Duke, a character on the Dukes of Hazzard that wore denim shorts up the crack of her ass that was so sexy. Everybody was all, "Come on, baby, kick them daisies. Look at them girl with the Daisy Dukes on." Come on, you're playing yourselves. So that's the empathy part. So empathy has to lead some sort of forgiveness because the lack of perfection on all of our parts. We're all culpable.
Yes.
All right? And listen, what happened the first time someone brought it to their attention? Okay, we're probably not going to show episodes. We'll show it on country music television. We're not making no movies about it anymore because we know better. Mm-hmm. But something back then, okay, you get that. That was contemporary. That was chronologically incorrect, but that is what it is. And you know they are good old boys that never mean no harm, okay? So that level of empathy comes to personal responsibility and realize we're all flawed, okay? I don't think the person who got killed is responsible for this. I don't think Garner got killed. Okay, was he selling cigarettes? Yeah, but this ain't Pakistan. Anything a motherfucker do, death, right? Run a stop sign, death.
Yeah.
I won't do it again. I know.
Yeah. Well, especially if you find out that you had a criminal background before, then it's okay. I mean, it's
my least favorite.
We can go on for hours on that.
At least with this guy, they got it right. This is the first case between Garner, Rice, Trayvon that they didn't spend a lot of time delving into the past of the suspect. This one, they delved into the past of the cop for a change. Mm-hmm. And
yes.
Oh my goodness, look what we found behind door 2. 18 complaints.
You know what was crazy about this whole thing happening is Minnesota is probably the first state that ever took action in the amount of time that they took action. Mm-hmm. I mean, those cops, 4 gone within hours. It was quick.
You talking about Atlanta or Minnesota?
Minnesota. Yeah,
because Atlanta, that mayor wasn't having it, dude. But go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Bottoms?
Yeah, well,
Mayor Bottoms?
Yeah, that's a whole different story. Right?
But go ahead. Yeah, it's tasing.
But yeah, I mean, Minnesota took care of business. So
did they? I mean, with 18 complaints.
No, they did. But the country up to that point, it's been a slow burning fuse. And prior to that, we had a woman killed in her bedroom from a
wrong house identification. Yeah.
Drug bust that went wrong. We had a man in Central Park. We had a man running the streets and got gunned down by 2 citizens. Jesus. And then we had George Floyd, and that was it.
Yeah.
the fuse hit the bomb and everything exploded.
Hey,
But I think America got to see all that because it happened all within the same week. I was like, wait, what is going on here? So I think America has always been, no, they're over exaggerating again. It's whatever is happening there. They deserve.
And if he doesn't want to get his knee in his neck, stop breaking the law. Stop breaking the law. Oh.
Yeah, right. So now they actually got to see. Well, wait a minute. These people weren't breaking the law, and this all happened in the same week. That can't be a coincidence.
You say don't shoot, they shoot. You say I can't breathe. You say I can't breathe, you get suffocated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're gonna have to miss me with that one.
And although it happens disproportionately to Black Americans, the police still do it to. And that's the other thing. Well, whites get killed more than blacks do. Well, technically, that is true. It's FBI facts. It's true.
Well,
there are more whites killed.
Lurking variables is the word there, but go ahead.
Right, exactly. Your lurking variables, which I used in my new book, by the way. So
cool.
But
I don't know how I get an A- in that class.
But when you look at 2,000 whites that are killed and 1,800 blacks that are killed, and blacks only comprise of 13% of the population, whites comprise of 65 to 75% of the population, there's a problem. There's a huge problem there. So you have to use that word disproportionately, so people will understand that we are killed 2.5 times more than
right.
With that?
No, I said, well, disproportionately. Two things I wanted to say. One thing before we steer too far away, the 18 complaints against this cop, right? If you or me are on the police force, it's incumbent upon police. Let's say we're on the force. Isn't it incumbent upon us to come to the captain and say, hey, listen, can you do something about this guy before someone gets killed? That's just one thing, and I wanted to finish that with that. The second thing I wanted to talk about, FBI stats have a ton of lurking variables, and I'll tell you why. And I'll give you an example, and it's the third podcast I'm going to say this. Sergeant Michael Wood, who's a sergeant in the Baltimore Police Department, quit his job because his captain directed him to go out there and make arrests. And when they came back and didn't arrest anybody because no one committed any crimes, he says, just go out there and find 4 people. Just bring 4 bodies, I don't care where. Now, wherever neighborhood you grew up, wherever neighborhood I grew up, Flatbush Avenue or whatever, if you live in New York or if you California, if that guy has to make 4 arrests, is he going to go to Hollywood? No. Is he going to go to South Central? Yes. So if black people are getting arrested disproportionately because maybe they're committing crimes, or maybe a cop just got lucky, he found someone that he was searching that has drugs on them, it's because he searched that person in the first place. Do white people smoke as much weed as black people? Yes, they do. In fact, harder drugs. You want to talk about drugs per capita? Harder drugs. White people use hard drugs more than black people, okay? Yeah. All of a sudden in Harlem, it's racketeering, and on the Upper West Side, it's hospitality. What's up? So I don't want to hear anybody, stats, facts are facts, stats are stats. No, I mean, of course you could beef up the stats if that's where they're recorded. If people are directed by their chain of command to not only make busts, but to make busts in those areas that they call high crime areas.
Right.
They're not high crime areas. They're just black. Then what the hell is that? So
you got crime going all over the place.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So I mean, I didn't mean to mention this, and I'm sorry for the people who dare to follow every episode. I feel like I'm saying this over and over again.
Don't bludgeon me to death.
No, but don't bludgeon me to death about what studies show when you haven't even, vet like Jason Olive, vet your studies, dude. Don't just find confirmation bias. Don't just Google search something and find the first thing that supports why you're right.
You mean all that regurgitating?
Yes, pontificating is more like it. But damn, we just all right. I think I'm gonna write a book now. We're just coming up with all of those. So before we go, what's your next project?
Well, I just finished up a book. It's for the Black community, and it's going to. It's about, I think you've heard the talk that Black families have with their younger kids about how to interact with, or what to do when you're pulled over by a police officer. So I wrote a book about that, and about your rights, your constitutional rights, and how you should interact. So I think the more education we have with just that part, I think will maybe help turn things around, because police are going to do what they do, whether they have those cameras on or not, because most of them don't even have to turn the camera on.
Yeah.
People probably don't.
It's not getting worse. It's getting
that.
filmed. Yeah.
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 So we need to one, get on that to make sure that every police officer out there, just for our protection, but for their protection as well, to have a recorded record. So, I think if more blacks know what their constitutional rights are, I think there'll be more blacks not getting, just like I said, randomly pulled off the street, because they don't have to answer any questions that the police officer asks them. Those police officers have to have probable cause, but most people don't know that.
And even if it gets kicked in court, you still got to go through the whole rigmarole. You still get, there's still pre-trial or pre-confinement to the preliminary hearing, if not a trial. Being threatened with a trial might make that person plead out. If they plead out, then it's on their record, unsealed, not sealed. So, and I'm so glad you're doing that, because I just saw an episode of 911. It's one of my favorite shows. The rare occasion I watch TV, and it was a repeat. And the guy, I forgot the guy's name, but he played C-Note in Prison Break. He was the black guy, the ex-military guy in Prison Break, with Wentworth Miller. And he's like, this episode's old, but it was relevant then, and it's relevant now. And his ex-wife works for LAPD, and he got pulled over, and he was asked to get out of the car, and then his son was reaching for something. They pulled the gun on his son. He's like, "Don't you shoot my son." All of it was on film. And when he got to the house, his wife was like, "Well, I'm glad you didn't get hurt or whatever, and it could have been worse." And she's like, "Well, cops have a tough job." She took the side of the police. She's a black woman. But when she saw the video, the body cam footage, ooh, nothing but fire. And later ended up stopping the cop for DUI, because he had a bunch of beers and was driving under the influence. So she ended up pulling him over. So all of this came like full circle. But the point I was trying to make was, there was a 10-minute segment where the guy had to talk to his son. Just put your hands on the steering wheel. If they ask you for a license, say, "Hey, I'm taking my right hand, I'm doing this." Just the conversation you have to have just for DWB.
Yeah.
Driving while black.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. It's sad and it's painful, and I don't know if I make the call necessary, but I think, the chances of you living through something, where you got to do this inconvenient, you sacrifice your freedom, with some kind of security. Sometimes you wind up with neither, but you still want to live and hopefully live through all of this till everybody.
It's different, because we could be in the same car, same type of car, running through the same neighborhood, and if I get pulled over and I start yelling and screaming and cussing out the police officer, I'm going to be on the ground, face first, handcuffed.
Yeah.
If a white person does the same thing, they're just calm down, sir, calm down.
I'm gonna have your badge, dude. Screw you! I ain't getting out of the car. I know my rights.
Yeah, we have to get beyond all of that.
I'm just having a little fun now. I know my rights. I'm gonna have your badge, dude.
Yeah. Well, in that case, they probably could, because their dad's probably the mayor or something.
Yeah, it's why they don't pull over white kids. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But I mean, like I said, we can go on for days and days.
Right. So, one more question before I close up. Casey's apology. You said you have mixed feelings about that. What's up?
Well, I don't have mixed feelings about his. Well, okay.
For people listening at home, Casey basically
his initial post that I read. I read it as being sarcasm about getting the police off the street or burning the city down, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And
basically, hey, take the day off, see how you do without him. That was the premise of his post.
And I read it as sarcasm, or because I'm white and I have money, all that stuff. I took that as sarcasm. And when he apologized for saying all that. So I questioned, well, why is he apologizing if he didn't mean what he said earlier?
Because he's not a comedian. Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes jokes aren't funny, right? If you're not a comedian.
Yeah. And that was pretty evident. But I think it goes back to what we're talking about, Drew Brees. Maybe the connection wasn't there until someone slapped him in the face with it.
Right.
And he got slapped in the face with it, basically. So
he got a lot of blowback from his peers and some of his contemporaries. Well. Yeah. And a handful of supporters. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I described it as ill-timed. I told him that. I said, I don't know if, there's a time and place to make a joke.
Is there a time for that?
Yeah, when nobody has someone's knee on their neck. when the cops take a 6-month break from that, then you could be funny. You know?
Yeah, but it's still
6 months are up. So. Okay, not funny no more. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but that stuff is still going on. It's out of sight, out of mind. Doesn't mean that the timing is right where he could be sarcastic about something like that. Right. So right now the country is engaged, and a lot of people are feeling guilty about not participating or not believing in what was going on. And I talked to someone the other day who said guilt wasn't really a good word for them. They're just feeling stressed about everything that's going on, because there is a lot of information that they need to catch up on. And I was thinking, well, at some point there's got to be information overload. And when is that going to happen? Because there's just too much. We have 400 years of this, and from the civil rights era of the mid 60s to now, that's less than 70 years. So how you expect to see change in that short amount of time is beyond me. And how you can choose to ignore that there's an issue, even after seeing video of those issues and trying to find excuses why it's happening, it's mind-boggling. But I'm just happy to see that there's a portion of the country that is genuinely trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah. And for me, that's all I can ask.
Yeah. Well, I think I would also suggest to you that it acknowledge from people's acceptance of their privilege. Okay. My last guest, Kathy Parent, I've known her for a long time, and she wasn't down for a long time. She wasn't down with white privilege. And I've known her long enough to know how much shit she had to eat and how hard she had to work to get where she has. And it wasn't an easy path. And for people that get rejection over and over and over, and you stay in the grind and you keep it until you make it, those are the people that are like, oh, this one person want to come out of nowhere and talk about privilege, kiss my ass, and for that. And that's what I was talking about, the understanding of the why. I'm not saying they're right, but I'm saying the understanding of the why has to be mutual. Mm-hmm. And this is why it takes a lot of people to come around to acknowledge their white privilege. And she's like, I acknowledge my white privilege. I applied my privilege to just hard work and acceptance, which still I acknowledge I could be wrong, but on a different level of just walking to work and back. Maybe going to a bar, having a drink with some friends and walking home and not, I don't have to worry about getting shot by the police. She says she's a good looking woman in New York. So she said there's a little street harassment going on, but she says, I'll take my street harassment, multiply it by 5. And that's probably how some of my black friends feel, And so that acceptance and that acknowledgement on that small scale, because we know, it's very lazy of me just to pick this one example, okay? But on that small scale is an example of where I think, like you said, it's become nationally recognized because the white contemporaries have acknowledged their privilege. Casey, the reason why I brought him up is because he, very much like Kathy, I could cite the constant rejection and hard work he got just to get to where he has to be. He's married to a celebrity, but I'm gonna tell you, this man was an NCAA champion before he was married to Carrie. This man, was a multiple-time AVP and FIVB champion before Carrie came up. So this man, because people like that worked hard and made it. Why can't that person? Why can't that person? And that's where their head is in the sand.
That's where the disconnect is.
That's where the disconnect is. And when someone like Casey and someone like Kathy Parent realizes that their path to their success and the hard work, however noble, I'm not trying to make light of that because outside of that, I don't think they enjoy, the two of them enjoy the success they have. That takes a special kind of someone, but they have to realize Even in their rejection, their rejection was at the 50-meter line for the 100-meter dash. You got rejected at the 50-meter line, and okay, you finished the race. Good for you.
Yeah.
Say that to the person, who still has to run the 100 meters and put up with twice the rejection, okay? I talked to my mom. My mom, I was like, wow, I'm sure like whoever the first black lawyer was, he must have been happy. And she says, no, they were angry. They were angry as F because they had to run the 100-meter, Yeah. It's like, wow, congratulations, dude. Kiss my ass.
But it's still true to this day. I mean, even as a black coach, you're still on a shorter leash than your counterpart.
Yep.
So you always have more to prove. You have to finish that race.
That's the old saying.
And then keep going. And then people are still going to think, oh, they were lucky this time.
That's the battle, right? The old saying is white people have a career, black people have a responsibility. Right? I mean, to be a role model, my God, you can't go drinking, you can't gamble, right? To be the best dentist, you have to invent teeth.
It's crazy. I mean, I don't know. My background, I don't know. We all see life through a different lens, and I've had opportunities that a lot of people haven't had, and so I think it's my responsibility, even when I go out to eat, that I can disrupt whatever stigmas are out there. So if I go to a restaurant, black people don't tip. I tip, and I'm going to tip more than necessary, just so you can say, well, there was this one time, and just that's been my whole life. Is that I want you to see that there's a Black American out there that you had no idea existed, and you're going to be able to say, well, there was just one time, so maybe there's someone else like that. So you're just not triggered by, oh, they're a criminal, they always do this, always do that.
Yep. Speaking of multiple cab drivers too, in New York, because I rode cabs a lot at night because, like you said, I'm a full-time student. I'm here. I'm finishing karaoke. I don't want to take that train. So particularly citing one guy from Yemen, when they said racial profiling from yellow cabs was over. They don't like a black person hails a cab, they just drive by.
Right.
And it's because, oh my God, they're afraid and they're afraid. He's like, dude, he says, we're not afraid. He says, I just think they're cheap.
Yeah.
And he says, besides, right? he says, and if I could recognize white people from Russians or Eastern Europeans, I drive by their fucking asses too. He said to picture someone making them drive you all the way to Far Rockaway, Queens, all the way to the South Bronx, and you lost like a half hour, an hour of your time. You could be picking up local fares here and there. They make you drive all the way to Coney Island, right, Cary Gardens or whatever, or Flatbush Avenue, and they don't even tip you. So I think that's another form of racism, right? Of course, because if they see a black person, they in their mind are going to be like, so I mean, it's still racism anyway. But I think a lot of black people have to get in their heads. These Middle Eastern guys, they're not stopping because they're not passing you by because they're scared. Dude, you want to talk about stereotyping? They came from a place where there's bullets, bombs, and blood all
right?
all the time. Okay, whatever you went through on Flatbush, that was every day. So no, they think because you're cheap. So I thought, and like you said, we black people, because they have a responsibility, they have to acknowledge they have a certain privilege too. Dwayne Wade enjoys a privilege. LeBron James has a privilege, which he, by the way, doesn't abuse. The man's the ambassador. He's a citizen of the world. If they ever gave out that award again, Patrick Dietz says 500 years if you count the time prior to the Revolutionary War. Didn't have the additional pitfalls of being
even in the 1600s to 1700s.
Yeah,
that was still indentured servitude.
Yeah. Yep. And he says didn't have additional pitfalls of being looked at as a color even before they started their race. He's hilarious. Yeah. So Patrick is posting, and of course Randy Stokely gave us a shout out. And wow, before we go any further, we're running on close to 2 hours right now.
Oh, really? Jeez.
Yeah.
And I thought I couldn't even do 5 minutes.
At least, hey, Joe Rogan's here in spirit, my man. We're breaking all the rules. Listen, before we go, is there anything you'd like to plug? Any site or volleyball camp or whatever? Because Beach Volleyball National Events watches this religiously. The volleyball guests, not the other guests where we're talking about sex and doing all this cussing. But they anything you want to plug?
Well, I don't have the dates yet, but the Houston Stars Volleyball Club on our beach side, we'll have a clinic coming up. We're working on some big celebrities coming out to help run a clinic. So keep your eyes on that for July. My book that's going to come out hopefully within the next 4 or 5 days. The Blue Book is what it's called.
I was going to say you're working out a title. Yeah.
Yeah. But coaching wise, man, till COVID is on the downswing, it's gonna be tough. I mean, I have if you're in the city of Houston and you have a young man, have him come out Sundays. We have started our workouts. We do a lot of individual trainings, and we could use all the young men out there that we can get.
There you go. Bodies. We need bodies. Right? Bodies. We need bodies.
Yes.
Cool, man.
Roll the sport.
Well, I'm glad Aric has something for you, because for all the rest of you, I have nothing for you. Absolutely nothing. Zip, zilch, zero, squat. This is episode 38. Thank all of you for listening. For all of you people on your iPads online at Starbucks. For all of you people on your iPhone or Androids. For all of you old school people on your desktop. We rule the world. For everybody listening, and for Aric Anderson, this is episode 38 of the Option Podcast. I am Jason DeBias, and I'm going to hit my music, and we say, so long.
Ciao.
We're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.